Hi, welcome to this edition of Disabilities. Today I have Victoria. Victoria is a designer who designs clothes for people with disabilities, what we call adaptive clothing, which growing up I never had because back then it wasn't available. I'm really excited about this interview, and I'm sure Victoria will tell us a bit more about her journey, how she got into it, and everything. Victoria, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me. Well, where do I start? If I start with how I got to there, I suppose. So I studied fashion design. Growing up, I had sort of stomach problems, nothing that I took especially seriously, and neither did the doctors. And then when I graduated, I started interning with, sort of standard designer. And then I became a garment technologist and I worked for various companies like online suppliers, some high street brands. But in the background, my stomach health was getting worse. And in 2012, an ulcer that I didn't know I had basically burst and I nearly died as a consequence. And then I had the surgery to sort of save my life and repair all the damage. And then what followed was a series of diagnoses. So I have gastroparesis, which is a paralyzed stomach, diverticular disease, IBS, Raynaud's, costochondritis. I'm sure there are SIBO. I always forget. I get constant intestine infections, basically. And I had my gallbladder removed because it was diseased. I had my appendix removed because it was diseased. And I have 2 exits from my stomach internally so that my stomach actually empties. So it was while in hospital for what felt like the 50 millionth time that there was a woman on the ward opposite me, and she'd had ovarian cancer, but it had ruined her digestive tract, like the radiotherapy. So she had a stoma and she had a PICC line in her arm, and she was being fitted for a port in her chest. And she was sending like her spare colostomy bags around the world, like to charities. She founded a group to help other survivors of ovarian cancer. And she had to get naked every time the doctors came around. And I just thought, there's no dignity in this. And this poor woman has done so much and survived so much. And because so much was going on, it would always be about 6 doctors as well. So, to just sort of have to take your clothes off every 5 minutes for 6 people that you don't know, I just thought, it's not, there must be something. And then I'd sit and talk to her, and she couldn't really wear anything tight fitted or anything especially formal because she had to be able to reach different bits of herself. And it just suddenly sort of came to me. I was like, why haven't I and even I was annoyed at myself because like jeans hurt me to wear. Hadn't even crossed my mind to maybe I should design myself trousers that don't hurt me. So I started to look into adaptive wear, which this was in 2016. There was almost nothing apart from stuff aimed at the elderly or stuff that was designed for and by carers. So it's functional for sure, but it's not very stylish. It's a little bit dehumanizing. It's kind of like scrubs that you'd wear at home, really. It just wasn't very inspiring. Thankfully, 4 years later, there are a lot more brands now. Tommy Hilfiger released a range in 2015. And I think he's still selling. Like I had to look the other day, still selling, sells around the world now, which is good. And then there's lots of new startups that I'm coming across every day now, and we all talk to each other, which I think is where it's different from the fashion industry. I kind of see myself as clothes industry, because fashion industry doesn't care about us and has never catered for us and doesn't hire us anyway. So so they no big designers other than Tommy Hilfiger have taken it on. So then Unhidden was the product of that sort of hospital stay, really. So it's adaptive wear aimed at people with disabilities. And the adaptations are they are themselves sort of hidden. So they're not really obvious that it's adapted. They're just let you live your life with a bit of dignity and a bit of style. It's a really small collection. There's only 5 women's pieces and 5 men's. Although to be fair, they could be completely genderless. I'm not bothered about that sort of thing. That's kind of where we're at, and it's all made from dead stock fabric as well, so that we're not having more fabric made, so we're not contributing to the pollution that the industry is sort of responsible for. And I'm still working out logistics. We are going to be offering we'll alter people's existing clothes so that they haven't got to throw away their entire wardrobe or buy something new. And also because 80% of people are not born disabled, that's an awful lot of people's wardrobes that we could just fix, and then they can wear it and that's fine. And then we're going to film me sort of changing those as well, so we can then have workshops and teach people how to adapt their own clothes, so that you're not restricted by whether you've got the money to pay for it to be adapted or pay for actually adaptive fashion. Like, I don't want to leave anybody behind, is the idea.
I think it's marvelous because I mean, growing up with cerebral palsy, I mean, my whole life I've been taught how to adapt myself to wear the clothes that exist rather than the clothes being adapted for me. So
Yeah.
it's like you have to learn how to button your shirt and all those things. And there are days when no matter what you do, your fingers just will not cooperate.
Yeah.
So sometimes it will take you 5 minutes to button your shirt. Sometimes it can take you 15 minutes to button the same shirt. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 41 years old, so you are looking at growing up
You
in
look very good for 41. You look amazing.
Thank you. So I mean, you're looking at growing up in the 80s and the 90s when these things were not available. In fact, even what I used to hate were the shoes that we had to wear because our shoes were always so ugly and so I mean yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm really excited about what you are doing now. I mean, when
Yeah.
I have learned how to button my shirt, I know that on a good day,
Yeah.
it will take me X amount of time. On a bad day, it will take me X amount of time. So I know that, okay, if I'm going to wear a shirt, then I better, I mean, get ready ahead of time than I normally would because otherwise I may be late depending on how long it takes. But, yes,
Exactly. And you shouldn't have to work, like just getting dressed shouldn't be a
I-
big, long, hour-long attempt to get yourself clothed. It's like it just blows my mind that people don't even consider it. I mean, it would help heaps of people,
yeah,
you
it
know.
would. It would. It would. Now, let me share my screen. I have your
Mm.
your, your website open
Oh,
because
lovely.
I would.
We're still working on the website. Like, I built it and it's not my area. So I do
Okay.
apologize.
Okay. Are you seeing it?
Yes, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. So I went to the women's section as you rightly said that
Just going like, fingers crossed it works.
yeah, yeah. But I like the shirt, especially when it comes to so this side. Does
Yeah,
it
so this
does,
is so that
does
if
it
you,
open all the way down?
it will, yeah, you can do.
Okay. So is it Velcro or press start?
So that poppers, but we have the option, which should work. If you click on the contact us, it will take you to a form, and oh,
Okay.
that's it. No, there's a thing underneath the size bar where you can click and say you'd like to make an alteration. So that's where you would say you want Velcro or magnets instead of poppers.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's only because at the moment I'm still sourcing the right magnet size, because bamboo silk is like really, really soft and lovely, not conducive to having massive magnets in, which at the moment they're too big. So I'm trying to find some others, but like it is going to be possible by the end of the year. So yeah, people can just say if they want poppers or magnets or Velcro, and then we'll make that shirt with those things in instead.
So this is also either purpose
Yeah, so this is
magnet.
also poppers at the moment, but we would again you'd have the choice.
Okay. Okay. I mean, it's amazing that you don't have to spend about 10 minutes trying to button your
Thank
shirt.
you. Well, I mean, especially Christina, the model for here, like she had quite a few tubes, which is why we have that one coming in here. I mean, especially for women, like for guys, getting your chest out isn't such a big deal, but it is for women.
Yeah.
And it's from a dignity perspective, and even from like a faith perspective, like, Western civilization, Western countries, it's like, it's not so bad to show a bit of skin or what have you, but I'm conscious that there are a few religions where, it's really awkward when you're in the hospital, never mind in your day-to-day life, to actually have to expose yourself. And I thought, yeah, we can work around it. Like there's, no way that people should have to get naked, basically.
Now the shirt is silk. I know there are some people who, especially those with autism, who are very sensitive to certain textures, materials,
Yeah, so we'll
textures.
extend it. Yeah, we'll probably extend it to cotton, because obviously everyone can wear cotton a bit easier. It was just because I really wanted people to feel like they had a luxurious experience that, that they've sort of never been given. So that's, I mean, to be fair though, that's the only sort of silky satin texture. Everything else is cotton to some degree. So we will have a cotton option as well. We were just, as a startup, we were a bit bound by how much, like I have heaps of designs, but we just had to pick what to start with. So this dress is like a nice stretchy jersey.
Okay.
The keyhole was kind of so that you can feed tubes through it, but also as just a design feature anyway. And then underneath here, there's a zip, so you can open it so you can get to your stoma, or you can get to your feeding tube without having to pull your dress up.
Okay.
And there's also pockets in it, which not every dress gets. So there's pockets.
No, pockets are very important, and I don't know why these days people do not make clothes with pockets, especially for those of us who use crutches. We need pockets and things to be able to put our phones in and all that.
Yeah.
But these days, people do not make clothes with pockets, and
no. It's like, but they do it in menswear. Like men's always get pockets, women's no pockets. It's like, what, we need pockets too.
I think that the rationale is that women are carrying bags, so everything goes in the bag. But for some of us, we cannot carry bags. We have to wear our bags. I mean, so when I'm going somewhere and I'm going to be alone, I have to wear a sling bag because I work with crutches, so I need my hands to be free.
Yeah.
Those are the little things that make a big difference to our lives.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's, I mean, I appreciate on some things, like you might be able to see it through, or if you put things in, it will bulge. But it's in the same way that trousers are designed for standing in. They're not designed for sitting down in. But we all sit down, like everybody sits down pretty much. So it's kind of, it's just one of the, it's
really, trousers were designed for standing in.
Yeah, so like, if you stand up, it all sits nicely, it looks pretty, it all works. And as soon as you sit down, you're like, oh, okay, there's creases over here, this pocket opens, it cuts in quite a lot. Like especially I'm more aware of it because of my stomach. But I sit down and things sort of instantly then cut in. I'm like, well, I've got to sit down all day. This is not very comfortable. So yeah, like whenever I've been in a fit session, I will, like for other clients, I always check when they sit down, what do the pockets do? Is the fabric not also so tight that they can't sit down? Because there are, sometimes the style, people haven't thought it through, and then the trousers are just too tight. So yeah. But I mean, for wheelchair trousers, which maybe we'll come to, there are different specific adaptations that we made to those.
Like what?
So we made the back seam is longer.
Okay.
So that when you sit down, it doesn't dip. It doesn't like sort of show your bum, basically.
Let's
we'll have a look.
Menswear.
I need to do some up close pictures because you can't. The seated. We just had a struggle with getting these shot properly because we only had 2 guys as models that were volunteers, neither of whom use a wheelchair. But we just didn't have any wheelchair using men reach out at that point. So I think you can see, if you look below where the zip is, there's a seam going towards his back.
Okay.
And basically that is a dart so that the back is longer than the front.
Okay.
And then what we've also done is when you sit down, there's all the excess at the front, like on your hips, and then also behind your knee. So on these trousers, all of that's removed. So the trousers even sort of are shaped as a seated pair of trousers, even when they're not on a body.
Wow.
And then we have zips either side so that it's easier for them to be pulled on. And there's zips in the leg as well for the same reason, so you can get them on a bit easier. But all the things that are normally there on normal trousers have been sort of taken away. And there's no pockets or seams or anything that would cause a pressure sore on your skin, because that was the other problem.
Wouldn't elastic be easier than
Well, yeah, there is elastic in the back waistband as well.
Okay.
So it's elasticated. Then the zips, they were more just an added, because not everybody needs it, but it was if people that needed help getting dressed. It's sort of easier for somebody else to get them in if they're not as mobile. And the standing trousers, they are the same design, but they don't have all the excess removed from behind the knee, the hip, but they do still have an elasticated back. And that's again for people that have stomas and colostomy bags, so that it's like, they're not tight, there's a bit of movement in the trousers. And actually that particular model that's on the screen now, Ant, he's a big advocate for men with IBD, so irritable bowel disease. And him and both Moeed, who's the other model that's in that picture at the bottom, we're working together on a range of suits and trousers specifically for people with ostomies and stomas and ileostomies and people that have had stomach surgeries. I mean, obviously I have myself, but I'm not a guy, so I can't, I can't say what might be uncomfortable at the front. I don't know, so I'm getting a bit of help.
I think that's basically what of those of us in the disability community want. We want our feedback to be taken into consideration. We want some of these designs or decisions are being made.
That's the thing. You have to be in the room. You have to be in the room. Otherwise, it's not gonna. So yeah, I'm trying to get my calendar sorted so that I can hold like a monthly sort of focus group, and people can come in and say, I need this on my clothes, and then I can start to build up. People, things that are said all the time over and over again, we can, sort of put in. And there might be new things that I haven't considered. I mean, I registered Unhidden as a company in 2017, and we only launched like a month ago. So I have spent 3 years making sure I've spoken to enough people to cover as much as I could straight away. But there's millions of us, and I have definitely not spoken to 1 million people, so I can always speak to more. So I want to hold regular conversations with people where they can all chip in and say what they need, so that we're always making, because some garments are not going to be possible. They won't help everyone all in that one garment. Like wheelchair trousers, not everybody needs wheelchair trousers, but they still need other things done to their trousers. I'm aware there are people that have catheter bags and carry an awful lot of medical wear around with them. They need pockets on the outside of the leg, which I haven't done yet. So, there's lots of different things coming. And then, we're going to have some jersey pull-on trousers. And then a whole range, like there's so many things. Someone asked me about sportswear, which I'm considering, because it's not like, disabled people don't go to the gym. So I'm going to do as much as I can without overproducing too much clothing that, no one actually wants to use anyway.
And I hope you have somebody who is into shoes, because as I said, our footwear.
Yes, I came across some shoes the other day actually, and I was like, they just look like normal shoes, but they've got zips that come all around the foot. So they kind of wrap around, but they look like all normal shoes. And I was like, yeah, brilliant, amazing. But I think what I'd also like to do is I'd like to have other brands on our site as well. People that are doing lingerie, people that are doing swimwear, because much as I would like to have a range in every single category possible,
you can't.
We don't have to, and we don't need to. There are other people doing it. So I'd rather just bring us all together and have us in one space. Which is why we spend a lot of time on our social media promoting other brands that are also doing adaptive wear, because I don't see, like, it's not a competition. There's room for plenty of us. Not everyone's going to like my style of design, and that's normal and fine. So they need to have a choice still. So I want to show them the other choices that they have as much as I can.
And I like what you said about us doing exercise and going to the gym and all that stuff, because exercise is such a crucial part of some of us our lives, because we do physiotherapy for for all our lives, and we have to be able to look sporty and nice when we are doing those things. So
Yeah,
it's actually a critical part of our wardrobe, those exercise stuff.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, well, well, especially, I mean, I know I wear a lot of sportswear at home because it is comfortable, or sweatpants and so on. So, it's that's as close as we get to being able to wear streetwear. But there are still things that could be done that would make it easier for for people to wear them. And
how,
it's not even that hard to do. Like sometimes it's just putting a zip in somewhere, or a bit of Velcro, or a bit of extra fabric. Like it's not complicated, hard to do, and that's why the fashion industry has ignored it. It's not difficult to do. It's you have to. It's creative, but it's not hard.
uh, how about swimwear? I mean, for those of you with tubes and bags and all those things, how you? I mean, I don't expect you not to want to swim if you are a swimmer just because you have those things. I mean, that is the whole idea of of trying to live as much as of a normal life as you can.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are some. I have seen some like high-waisted bikinis. That seems to be quite popular. But I think there are things that you could do within swimsuits that just have a wrap, but there's a concealed hole, so you could still get to things and feed things out through it. There's definitely ways of making it possible. I mean, yeah, like as you say, a lot of people that are that have that sort of medical equipment, they're not that likely to get into like a just public swimming pool, perhaps, but they still want to be on the beach. They still want to be out and get a tan. So that yes, much as they might not actually get in the water, they still need to be able to like wear beachwear rather than have to sit there in t-shirt and shorts, for example.
Uh, uh. So so what what is your next line of clothing? I mean, beyond what you have on the site. Obviously, I'm sure you have some dresses or some tops or some skirts in mind, and
Yes.
all those things, and especially formal wear, office wear, or leisure wear. I mean, what is your focus now?
Yeah. I think I want to do like this is kind of sort of formally office sort of wear. So yeah, I want to do like some more fashion pieces, like sort of nice, can dress up or dress down, like just normal day wear, but that's a bit, stylish basically. So yeah, there's that is the idea, a bit of suiting for the chaps. And then just, like chinos, relaxed clothing, like day clothing that, that everybody wears. I am looking at denim, but there is a company called I Am Denim that already do quite a lot around clothing for disabled people. And there's
I
another,
I I am the mid.
yeah, I Am Denim.
Okay. I'll take that.
Yeah. And then there's another designer, I can't remember her name. I think it's like Migo or Trigo is her last name. She does wheelchair trousers that are, well, wheelchair jeans. And she's very, very good. I mean, they are more expensive, presumably because people are actually being paid properly for them, which is I probably should say actually. I know our prices might look high, but they're not. Like the cost of getting, I think these trousers made, the actual cost of just to get it made is £30, and then the fabric takes it up to 50. So then you see, we're not like I'm not marking it up to such an insane point that we're making a huge revenue. And everyone in the factory, it's a women-owned factory in Bulgaria, and sort of they're an absolutely incredible team over there. And our sort of everyone that we work with is highly skilled, absolutely amazing, and they're also paid fairly. Like that's the other thing I think people worry about sometimes. And that's also the reason why we're so used to things being cheap, is because no one's paying people that are making the clothes. So it's really important to me that we know where the clothes are coming from, who the people are that are sewing them, and we plan on doing some more sort of film and stories around that after the pandemic rules relax, so we can actually go over there and meet them in person rather than just having phone conversations and emails, which is how we've done it so far.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about you as an individual now. What are some of the challenges you have with your condition? I mean, because
Um,
a lot of my viewers have probably not heard about your condition, and,
mhm.
and the whole idea of this show to educate people about the various disabilities
Yeah.
that exists. Yours is it's also kind of like an invisible disability, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. Well, that's why, yeah, Unhidden was kind of about like hidden disabilities being unhidden, or just disabled people in general being unhidden. So, yeah, well, the struggles I face is one, I don't look sick. So that can be quite a struggle. I've lost a lot of work over the years. I've said fully, I have chronic health conditions, they're managed, but some days I might need to work from home, or some days I might just need to finish early or come in late if I'm not feeling well in the morning, so that I, wait for my medicines to work and then come in. Um, and I mean, the fashion industry is famously not that kind, especially to people that can't, like when I first interned, I think I started work at 8 in the morning and would finish at 11 o'clock at night. Absolutely not possible for me to do that now. I could maybe do it for 2 days and then I'd probably need a week off. So, like a lot of the problems with my conditions come around food. So, I feel better when I don't eat up to a point, and then obviously I need the energy. But a lot of foods make me nauseous and make me sick. They can make me bloat. The same food 2 days in a row might do two different things. A lot of it is really just around being, and I can't stand for very long because I've also got a twisted artery in my bowel, and I'm still waiting to see my colorectal surgeon in a few days' time, actually. Um, so yeah, there's been a lot of chronic pain things as well, which is just, in itself is tiring. Um, so yeah, that's where most of the challenges come around food, a bit around mobility. I got a walking stick at the beginning of this year. Um, and then the pandemic happened and we weren't allowed to go anywhere. So it wasn't so haven't used it much. I like a bod just like, oh, retired immediately, but never mind. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of why like the pandemic for me has been kind of quite good, because I haven't had to commute to other people's offices, like to other clients, because I'm a freelancer in my sort of 9 to 5 work. Um, so because I haven't had to do that, I've had more energy, and therefore I've had more time to spend on Unhidden, which is why we managed to launch finally this year.
So what was it like for you to get to the point where you realized that you needed an assistive device? Because people without disabilities, when they get to the point where they realize that that they need one, they tend to fight it to the very end. And I mean,
Yeah, I'd been fighting it for a long time. I was absolutely like, no, I don't need a stick. It's absolutely fine. And then just realized that, every time we went out, we'd have to plan. Me and my boyfriend would have to plan, where am I going to sit down, for how long can I stand up? And I was like, if I have a walking stick, I can walk around for longer. It's an aid. It's not a negative. But yeah, it's you have to fight your own internalized ableism, especially when it's even, I mean, with everything that's wrong with me, like there's not a name for it in particular. It's like a group of things that all together just make me a bit different. And yeah, I'll look at other people and think, oh, yeah, they need help more than I do. And then I'm like, well, it's not really a competition. And if it would help me, then I should probably use it. But it's still, it's out. And then you think, it's not that bad. I'm not really disabled. Like I spent years, I'd never considered the word disabled and applied it to myself. And it was only a couple of years ago, really, when I thought, because they don't just phone you and say, oh, yes, you are now classed as disabled. Like I tried to get I tried to get benefits and a bit of help, because freelancing and losing work was just sort of putting me in a cycle of stress that
yeah.
sets off half of my conditions. And because I live with my partner, I didn't qualify for anything because he had full-time work.
Hmm.
And, that lovely, we don't have marriage equality. That's always fun for everybody. So yeah, it's I think completely lost thread of where I was going with that. But yeah,
Have you gotten the blue sticker?
I don't have a blue sticker. I have a radar key. so I can access, bathrooms and so on.
All the public toilets.
Yeah,
I,
so I mean,
I,
I've definitely got a bit braver. Like before, I'd be like, oh no, I don't need any access. I don't need anything changing for me. And then I was at a concert, I think last year, and the queues for all of the toilets were insanely long. But then, the disabled queue was insanely long as well. And I was like, I don't think everybody in this queue is disabled. Now I know I don't look it either. So I was like, this is a gamble. But I had to sort of say, ladies, if you're really not disabled, and you look fantastic if you are disabled, like you all look fantastic, but if you're actually not, you leave the queue, because some of us really are finding it difficult to stand. And then about 20 people just left the queue and sort of said sorry. And you're like, yeah. And then the woman in front of me was there with her daughter, and she was like, well, what's wrong with you? And I was like, well, I wouldn't say it if I wasn't disabled. It's like, I have things too. But yeah, it was, it's like that kind of weird competition of who's sick and who's not. But yeah, and at Glastonbury, actually, I went to last year, and their access is incredible there. You turn up in the car park, they help you get to the campsite, they drive you to and from the campsite. There's more space, there's bathrooms, there's showers, they have medically trained staff on site, and then you had access like behind, sort of backstage, so you could get from one area to another without having to go all the way around and so on. And they just really looked after everybody. It was absolutely amazing. That was my first real taste of, well, inclusive access, I think was how I would put it, really. But it was amazing. Apart from, there's one bit up a hill where they put toilets up there, but not disabled toilets. And I went up there and said, have you just assumed that none of us can get up this hill? And that's why there isn't a disabled loo here. And
it's true.
Sort of. And I'm like, well, I'm up here, so come on.
It's true. I mean, what you're saying is so true, because in the first place, look at the symbol for disability, a wheelchair. So if you're not in a wheelchair,
yeah,
then you're not considered as,
yeah, exactly,
typical disabled person.
Yeah, and I understand it. I mean, people don't think about access and disabled people until they know somebody with a disability that needs access, and then suddenly they're like, oh, this is awful. I'm like, yeah, it has always been awful, though, by the way. So
Thank you.
It's going to be everybody, isn't it? There's no point just us complaining, because we already know we need people that don't have any problems or disabilities, or however they want to phrase it. We need them to step up as well. And like, if you go into a restaurant and you notice there's a step and therefore a wheelchair can't get access, then you need to say, if the bathrooms are full of storage of like half the kitchen and napkins and so on, which happens in a lot of restaurants, then people need to say, because it's going to take more than just the disabled community. But it does seem to sit squarely on our shoulders. But it would be good if some able-bodied people would help.
Yeah, I always say that disability, it does not discriminate. It can happen to anybody at any
exactly.
So you owe it to yourself, so that you can help create an environment, so that if it happens to you, then you don't start fretting and realizing that, so the environment is not so disabled friendly at all. I mean, here, I've lived in the UK. I went to university there, and so I know.
How was that?
It was great. I was in Hertfordshire, University of Hertfordshire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So and I know how much access I got compared to Ghana, which is nowhere near disability compliant as it is in the UK. So I really appreciate my experience there. But what you are saying is so true, because sometimes I'm walking with a friend, and we are going to a place, but then they suddenly start noticing the steps. They suddenly start noticing the curbs and all those things that before they didn't pay attention to. Then they are like, oh, so this place is not, it's really disability unfriendly. I said, yeah, that is what have been happening for the past 20 or 30 years. And
yeah.
And until they are working with me, they don't realize it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like everyone, I mean, I was thinking about it this morning actually. Everyone should, because I was trying to, I'm always trying to think like, how, if I had this thing, how would I get dressed? And I was like, we should sort of, someone should just tie their hands behind their back and try and go about their normal day and see how suddenly everything becomes an awful lot harder. Or, you know, not one, or you're missing a leg,
Yeah.
or yeah, you can't even actually, even when it comes to like glasses and vision, you know, this is technically, this is an aid, you know, not everybody needs them, but it's like we've got so far, we made glasses for people and then we just stopped. We were like, you know what, as long as you can see, that's fine, you don't need any other help. It's like, you know, it's that kind of just mindset of we'll help up to a point. Like we don't all know how to build a house, so we pay other people to build it for us. But if we were left to our own defenses, we would all be living out on the street trying to pile up things so that we had a house. So like, you know, the world just, it was started, we did so well and then we just stopped. At some point everyone just went, no, that's accessible enough. That's what most people need, apart from how many millions of us that there are. I think it's globally around 1 billion disabled people. It's not an insignificant number. It's a lot of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I think, I mean, it's, let's face it, it all comes down to money, because for a long time the disability community hasn't had spending power. So we have been excluded from
Yeah,
all
that's true.
these initiatives. So if, as we are going, we are getting educated better, this and we are working, certainly
Yeah,
we can spend on some of these things, and that is what will make the world more inclusive towards us. I mean, we can pity it up and say that, oh, social interventions and all that stuff. But believe me, at the end of the day, it's all about money. Who
yeah,
who who, who can pay for the services?
yeah. Yeah, that's true. But that's the thing, the spending power now is much bigger. And I'm like, so right, you want all of the disabled people, you want all of us to buy clothes from you that you haven't thought about us at all. You want us to spend money in your restaurant where you haven't put braille on the menus, you haven't put a ramp, you haven't got an accessible toilet. You want us to come and spend money with you, but you're not going to cater to us. No, no, no.
Yeah.
No, no, no. I don't think that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is why what you are doing is so good, and I'm happy that about what you are doing, because it's not just for you, but then other people will see
Yeah.
business
That's the thing. I hope it will. Yeah, I hope it will
opportunity.
make other people think, oh, yeah, maybe I should design some clothes like that.
Exactly.
That is absolutely my dream for that to happen, is for other people to go, I could do that too. Or even, I mean, what I would like to predominantly hire from within the disabled community as well. You know, I've got a few people I'm having conversations with that have ideas and they want to have a go. I'm like, absolutely, let's get on board. I mean, obviously we're a startup. I mean, I'm not getting paid. No one's getting paid at the moment. But when we are at a point where that happens, yeah, I plan to hire from our community, because there's no point in hiring a load of able-bodied people that don't understand the challenges that we face and can't, like, they can empathize on some levels. I'm not saying I'd never hire an able-bodied person, but I think it would help dramatically if we all start working together, like really working together, like actually working together in real life on the same projects.
And I think in that regard, the pandemic has helped our community a bit. I mean, because certainly people have realized that you can work remotely, you can work from home, and I hope that whenever this this blasted pandemic is over,
Oh, just finished
it's,
already. Yeah.
it's it's over, we'll still continue this option of remote working, so that more people in the disability community
Yeah,
can 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 apply for jobs,
exactly. Well,
get
I
those
mean,
jobs.
for years we were all told it's not possible to remotely work, and then suddenly this year, yes, it is. Oh, you can do it. Okay, I actually saw someone from ASOS. I did a really big interview about how actually everyone should go back to working in the office, and I thought, yeah, no, but like not everyone can, and actually it has meant that people that previously couldn't work have been able to apply and get jobs because we're all working from home. So it's, yeah, in that, like, you're right, in that sense it's been amazing, but I just don't want people to forget and go, just like everyone's sort of trying to get back to normal. I'm like, no, we're not. It's never going to be the same as it was. But why don't we actually make it better? Why want we go back to a broken system where some people couldn't work to a system where now people can work more flexibly and from home? And then you haven't actually, to some cases, you haven't got to then completely adapt an office space that you've never bothered to adapt because they don't need to come in anyway. I mean, I appreciate for camaraderie and colleagues, like it is lovely to work with people in the same room. It is. And it does help with creativity. But I've made some incredible online friends this year. One of whom, like, we started a business together. I think I'd only met her in real life once, and that's all from online. So it is absolutely possible to meet people and make those connections online. And I think they should let everybody continue.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. So, Victoria, thank you so much for
Thank you,
agreeing.
Florida, for having me.
And I hope, and I've learned so much from you. And I wish you all the best in your business. I'm not a fashion person. I'm a tech person. I'm actually a software engineer. So I'm more of the right brain or left brain or whatever brain they have. But I really appreciate those of you who have that creativity with flair. Yeah. And I'm happy that you are doing it for our community. So that maybe one day, if I'm traveling somewhere and I know that I will not have any help, I can fully dress my because
Yes, that would be nice.
because I actually have to plan my wardrobe when I'm traveling out of my home environment, so so that there's nothing with a zip at the back or buttons at the back or something like that, because I know that there'll be nobody to help me pull it up on
Yeah.
all those things. And I mean, although I've grown up with it, sometimes it's still frustrating, and you wonder that why do I have to go through this every single
Yeah, exactly. Every day. It's just exhausting every
yeah.
day. And it's, if life's exhausting enough without going, oh, I can't even get dressed. It's just, it shouldn't be something we have to worry about. So yeah.
Yeah.
As we increase the range, I'll get back in touch and share
Yeah.
some things with you. We have got an ex-Paralympian, Joe Bird, with cerebral palsy, who's he's going to road test the magnets next year. So I will
That'd
let
be
you know how they
interesting.
go.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those of us with cerebral palsy, our motor movements are not very precise
Yeah.
and all those things. I mean, we have been trained as much as possible, but as I said earlier, there are some days that no matter what you do, your fingers will not cooperate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you once again, and have a lovely day. And I'll
Thank
get back.
you very much.
I'll get in touch with you routinely
Lovely. Well, it was lovely
and
to speak
check
with you.
and check out what as you add on to your passion line and if I'm ever in the UK, I'll come and look for you.
Yes, please do. Yeah, that would be
Okay.
great.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.